Right. So moving on to our next session, the last session of the day, panel discussion, building the framework for digital experiences to drive valuable experiences in the hybrid world of work. I introduce our moderator, Mr. Rajesh Yadav, Deputy Director of Contact Center Partner Operations at Myntra. Mr. Rajesh Yadav brings over 15 years of expertise in customer service committed to elevating customer experience. He leads strategy design and integrates cutting edge technology in the fashion e commerce industry. I also invite on the dais the fellow panelists Mr. Sahil Sethi, Director of Customer Loyalty at JW Marriott, Ms. Dipanwita, Head of Group Customer Experience Management at Tata Power, Delhi Distribution Limited, Mr. Shashi Ranjan, Head of Customer Experience at Dr. Lal PathLabs, Mr. Manish Vora, EVP and Head of Operations at SBI Cards, Mr. Parag Garodia, Chief Customer Experience Officer at Exital Broadband. Over to you, Mr. Rajesh Yadav.
Thanks, Naveen, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining this day. Let's have a seat. So 2021, guys, brought us closer to a lot of new terminologies like hybrid. Now we are into the new normal, where Pele we were working from office, we moved to how do we work from office because there is a lockdown, how do we support our customers. We had no technology available at that time. And as a human, we evolved, we understood what our requirements are, and we came up with this concept, first work from home, then once we back to new normal, we started with hybrids, a couple of days work from office, couple of days work from home. Now today here we are all together, right, to discuss how do we build a framework for digital customer experience to drive valuable experience in hybrid world of work. And with these panelists here, we'll try to crack this puzzle and take it from there. So Sahil, I think the first question goes to you. In what ways can companies leverage customer data and insights to tailor digital experience that resonate with the changing needs and preferences of our customers?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Speaking of customer data, data is the king, like everybody calls it. All companies want data, right from Myntra to Marriott to Dr. Lalpat to Tata. Everybody wants data, right? So I strongly believe that there are three touch points where data is concerned. We're taking the right data, if we are feeding in the right data, and what are we doing with that data? So at Marriott, we've got a big chain of hotels. We've got about 8,000 hotels with 31 brands, and the loyalty program, which is called Marriott Bonvoy, binds all 8,000 hotels. And we, all hotels, ensure that all guests who are walking in at any of the hotels, it could be a JW, it could be a Ritz-Carlton, it could be in a Loft, it could be a Fairfield, all segment of hotels. If there's a guest who's walking in, we ensure that he is enrolled in the membership program, and we take all guest preferences and record them in the right way. Well, this enables us to ensure that all guest preferences are recorded and met at not only a specific hotel, but all 8,000 hotels. And this is what brand loyalty is all about, looking after your guests and looking after your customers, having the right data or preferences and meeting them in time. So this is what we do at Marriott International.
Excellent. I think one best example that we had shared by one of the dignitaries today morning on the same lines where JW Marriott took her data, they realized that start of the day when she enters the hotel, she needs a black coffee. Twice she asked for it, and the third time the black coffee was available ready in her room. So I think that's a great customer experience that we see which impresses the customer, and we'll come back to you again and again.
Thank you.
Next we can move to, we'll move to Shashi. Shashi, the question for you is how can organizations effectively balance digital convenience with personalized experience to create valuable interactions for our customers?
Right. Thank you, Rajesh. So we talked about the coffee. Now from the coffee, I'll move to chai, and I'll just give you one example around it. So there are 2 points to it. One is the digital convenience and the personalized experience. I'll put these two separate, and then I'll try to answer this. I'll start with the personalized experience. There's a chai tapri outside my office. I go there. The person knows me very well because I've been regular there. And he also knows that I do not prefer this sugar. So each time whenever I walk in there, immediately he says, Sir, aapki bina chai wali chai bana dunga. So the rejection rate is not that. The fulfillment is 100% compared to other vendors, those are there. So that's the reason I always prefer to go there. And now each time this guy serves me. But there's also a risk involved in it. Let's say one fine day this guy is not available and he put a replacement. Will that guy be able to identify me and provide the similar kind of service? The answer is no. Let me put an example of a famous world chain QSR where I walk in. Now this guy again puts my contact number or sub-identifier, which is available there in the system. The preference is already set there. The person is able to identify, okay, this particular person will prefer without sugar chai, and the offer is there. Now that risk of attrition or not able to recognize a customer is minimized there. That muscle memory problem is not there. The system is able to guide that. So this digital information is very conveniently available there for a customer, and at the same time, a brand is able to serve it. But let's say if I go to the mobile application of the same QSR and I try to order there. If this is not connected via omni-channel, this entire experience will fail there. And again, I'll have to put the information, I'll have to provide the preferences, and then only the system will be able to recognize me. So which means while designing the entire digital journey, it is very important that we keep in mind about the omni-channel connectivity also. So that as a customer, each time at each touch point, I get the similar experience. So that's how we should plan and design the entire digital convenience. But at the same time, it is also very important that we keep that human touch alive, wherever and whenever it is needed. Thank you.
Awesome. Just to add, right, on the chai incident and using the both examples that you have shared, the best experience that you would get here is tomorrow when you go, when the person knows that, Shashi comes to me almost approx this time, he also makes a note of that data, and to personalize next time when you go, he tells you, Shashi, your tea is ready without sugar. What
True,
kind of
true.
experience would that be for you?
I think that's going to be a very wonderful experience because the waiting time is minimized.
And time is money. Yeah, we move to our next question for Dipanwita. I hope I pronounced it right. Awesome. How do you ensure seamless integration between digital channels and offline touchpoints to provide a cohesive and holistic customer experience?
So thank you for the question. Hello everybody. So my name is Dipanwita and I represent Tata Power. So we work with multi-generational customers, and it's a huge cohort. I mean, different types of cohort of customers are there because we are a utility and we provide to different kind of people. So from that experience and from other similar kind of B2C setups, what I would say here is that first of all, the standardization is very critical, whether it is an online or an offline channel in hybrids, like he mentioned, as Sahil mentioned for JW Marriott, that it's a similar experience that comes through. And what is very important again is that all of it needs to be backed up by a very strong omni-channel which has the entire database well fed into it, which knows the customer very well. And at the front end, there would be two things. A, because you have a large base of customers with different type of cohorts, so you would need both physical as well as digital. And at the same time, you need to balance the cost to serve. So there, it is very important that you draw up a very good strategy where, first of all, where to place your digital stores or things like that. For example, Airtel is a very good example where they, the way they set up their service centers or the support stores. And that is all based on a lot of data and usage patterns, etc. And and even within those setups, even if it is a physical setup, given the kind of expectations that customers have nowadays, you can have very kind of Digital experience is also supported by AR, VR, IoT, etc. For example, like an Apple store, where while somebody comes in physically, he can also experience a lot of things through VR and other things as to what the capability of the machine is. So that's one way. And in terms of online presence, which can be done for masses, because customers can be present anywhere across the globe. So for that, you definitely need a very strong online presence, very seamless connectivity, and very good user interfaces. And also at the same time, they can be backed up with a lot of, say, empathetic or human availability. We heard a lot about empathetic AI and things like that. So maybe a chatbot or a human experience, because not all segments or cohorts of customers are able to transact very seamlessly on the online platforms. One very critical example is the senior citizens. They need access to many of these services, banking, etc. And then somebody was talking about it in the morning that the father goes to the bank every month. So if he finds a very suitable channel online to interact with, I think he'll stop doing that. So those kind of empathetic presence is also required to be backed up on the online channel. So it's a hybrid world and a hybrid model. So that's the way to go probably in future. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a question maybe for anyone in the audience or anyone here, which is not part of the list. But yeah, should this be forced of a channel to be channel selection, or should we ask a customer before we give him an option? Some contact center folks would say it should be forced, काफी सारा cost आता है, but yeah, generally if you look at an experience, what do we think? Should it be forced and change a customer behavior, or we should first ask for customer option and basis that future give him those options? Anyone else, any other point? You can pass on the mic. So that the quantity has point.
Yeah, hi, I think that's a great question. So I think we've been dealing with data since morning. I think that's where the data, plays the pivotal role or, crucial role. If such is the use case, why do force? Why can't we segment out a cohort of people who are not comfortable with that kind of support and give them that option by default? It A, personalizes your experience, B, it gives you a good customer experience.
Awesome. I think that is the best answer that we
Yeah,
could have.
thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our next question, which is for Parag. How important, Parag, is agility and flexibility in adapting digital CX strategies to meet evolving customer expectations and market trends?
Thank you, Rajesh, for the question. So good afternoon, folks. My name is Parag. I take care of customer experience for Excitel Broadband. Coming to the question, I think it's an amazing question. And by agility and flexibility here, in my opinion, this would mean, making sure that the organization is quick enough and making sure the organization is flexible enough in reshaping, re-evolving and improvising the digital strategies and digital CX frameworks that they have put in place in order to accommodate all the ever evolving users' requirement, user behaviors and user needs. So on the same lines, in my opinion, this is not just important, this is super critical for an organization to win. And by win, I mean, for an organization to become a market leader, for an organization to have competitive advantage over other organizations, alike organizations in the same space, for the organization to become, customer centric and to absorb disruptions in the industry, right? Back in 2000, early 2000, which mobile handset company do you recall to be the market leader? Nokia, right? Nokia was it, but where is Nokia now? Look at it, where is Nokia now? Nokia is nowhere. That's because of the agility and flexibility that they were not able to adapt faster in order to absorb the ever-evolving, customer behavior changes, right? So these are some top, things that agility and flexibility enables the organization to have. And on the same note, gone are the days when we used to have one product fits all kind of a product and service, right? Now is the era of customization. And when I say era of customization, real-time personalization is utmost important, right? And real-time personalization would mean, making sure that after looking at the data and the analytics, users are given very, very customized and personalized experience altogether. And that happens only when the organization is quick enough to reshape the digital strategies that they have. Then looking at the social media engagement, if the organization is not very flexible in terms of involving itself into the different social media channels which are available, they cannot capture the users who are more interested in reaching out to them via social media, right? And similarly, omni-channel for that matter. Here, Shashi was also talking about omni-channel, right? And omni-channel engagement, omni-channel integration can only happen if the organization is open enough in terms of its digital strategies to make sure that they give all the options to the, you were just talking about this question, right? Wherein, should we give the options to the user? Yes, they have to be given the option, and that is why omni-channel integration is super critical, because different users are different, right? They vary in terms of their education level, their demography, in their behavior, in their pattern, in their comprehension level, and whatnot. And that is exactly the reason why one can choose call as a medium, the other can choose chat as a medium, the third can choose a social media escalation as the medium. So omni-channel integration is another thing that can only be enabled if the organization is open enough, in terms of its agility and flexibility to adopt and re-improvise the digital, customer experience framework that they have. Coming to this, thought of what are the quick examples that I can relate to in terms of companies who were amazing in terms of their agility and flexibility when it comes to, CX framework. And I think one top company that comes in my head right now is Meta. Meta is amazing. Meta gives you personalized, customized options. It gives you the advertisements and the content that you wanted to have, right? And that is only possible because Meta is very, very flexible in terms of their digital framework that they have applied already. Second best example is Netflix. Netflix would give different recommendations to different users. Why? Because they are studying what are the requirements, what are the behavior, what kind of content a particular user likes. And basis that they offer recommendations. Now these recommendations are only possible because Netflix is flexible enough. They understand that, opening up their arms in terms of improvising their digital framework is going to not only give amazing customer experience, but altogether make the user Netflix user for always, right? So I think these are some important things. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's becoming the market leader, and that is only possible if you're taking well into account all different kind of users that you have, right? Thank you.
True, agree. Just again a tricky question from the statements that you spoke, or the insights that you spoke about. We speak about omni-channel, right? Again, one way of looking at omni-channel is, I as a contact center, for a customer touch point, I have chat available, I have voice available, I have email available, I have social media available. That is an omni-channel definition. The other way that some organizations or some people also look at omni-channel is, customer came to me on chat, I outcall him.
Yeah.
That's an omni-channel. But when we speak about giving option to a customer, he's chose chat. Outcalling him, am I depriving him away from the option that he chose? Could be, yeah, could be. So it's very thin line on omni-channel and how an organization to organization it shifts.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. Moving to our next question. Questions for Sahil. Sahil, what role does employee training and upskilling play in delivering consistent and high quality digital customer experience across various touchpoints?
Well, training is the most crucial aspect because our businesses revolve around our customers, and customers are, as we fondly call them in hotels, customers are guests and guests are God, right? So until unless we don't value our customers and guests, your primary business wouldn't sustain. Training and upskilling is very important for hotels as such, because at hotels, at 8,000 hotels, we are, as a company, prioritizing training and upskilling across all departments. So an associate can also take a check-in, but if a hotel is sold out and your hotel has a capacity a manpower capacity of what 80% occupancy running full house, an associate who's taking a check-in could also make your rooms, could also serve you a cup of coffee at the restaurant. A person who's serving you a cup of coffee at the restaurant could also make your rooms. And also the other way, it's just that the culinary experience cannot be replaced by other departments because chefs are chefs, and that's why they have a price in the market. But upskilling is very important for our business as such, hotels, and customer loyalty, again, training for, I can tell you one initiative that Marriott is taking, has already taken, in fact, we have every associate in a hotel has to be trained for 20 hours in a year. This is the basic minimum requirement as far as the training aspect is looked after. We also have multiple audits in hotels, which is LQ, it's called Leading Quality Assurance, which audits your quality aspect of a hotel, the standards across the hotel. And we also have another audit called Brand Standard Hotel. Well, LQ is more revolving around the quality aspect, but brand standard is the time frame a check-in has taken, the time frame your coffee is served. It could be 3 minutes, could be 5 minutes. So we have those brand standards, and by audits we ensure that these time frames and which further impact the quality experience is well met across hotels. Hence, training and upskilling, the most important factor for hotels as such.
Perfect. Not only hotels, I'm sure every industry training is important. Just one correction. Not only the guest is a customer and a god, customer is also a god.
True.
Moving to our next question, it is for Dipanwita. How can companies use automation and self-service options to empower customers and enhance their overall digital journey?
So it's basically today what is happening is that uh, every company and every nook and cranny, or even the private people who do the sales through Facebook and all, everybody has some kind of a online or a digital presence. But in terms of actually when you're a service provider, you need to have uh, again an omni-channel presence, and most importantly apps and chats and the conventional modes as well. And social media listening is also becoming very critical because people nowadays prefer talking on Twitter or X or other things, like the previous panel was speaking about, say, complaints on trains and things like that. So even both ways people prefer these kind of channels. And uh, as a personal experience, I would like to share my company's experience where we are using technology to actually empower customers. We work for a company which provides electricity, and all of you are some way, I mean, everybody here sitting here is a customer to any electricity company. So you must be aware of the fact that pan India, there is a big push from Ministry of Power to install smart meters in every home. So what basically a smart meter does is that it takes up data both ways. Earlier what used to happen is that once a month a meter reader goes and fetches the reading or whatever is there from the meter, and your bill is generated according to that. But these smart meters are very highly cubed, and they actually preserve your minute to minute usage data and daily data, etc. So and these are capable of two-way communication. So what we have done, and it is now becoming a norm in India, is that we have provided an app for those consumers, specific app, in addition to your transactional app, wherein the customer is able to see data on a real-time basis. And how does it help a customer if he sees his electricity consumption on a daily basis or something? Suppose you're an industrialist and you want to check how much your daily consumption has been. If you're a hotelier, you want to check out what has been your daily consumption in the hotel. And most importantly, particularly for the folks here in Delhi, you are aware that the government here provides subsidy to consumers. So what happens is that if you consume up to 200 units, you get free electricity in your homes. And if you consume 201 unit, you have to actually pay a bill which is extremely high, which runs into thousands. So there is a need among consumers to cap their consumption. So the app that we have here actually gives them daily consumption data, and they can also set in alerts that, okay, now you've reached 195 units, you can now, you need to take some action to cap your consumption. So these are some of the very personalized and basic examples where people can be empowered, and across all cohorts of customers can be empowered to, to enable all these kind of CX platforms to, for their daily usage and for convenience.
Thank you. Shashi, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. I'll just take a step back from this automation and self-service. So the study says 63% of the customer, they prefer to call the contact center. I think we should replace this word of they prefer. I think they have to call the call center to get the problem resolved. If I can call myself as a tech savvy, and I take my own example of last 1 year, 50% of the time I had to call up the contact center to get any kind of resolution. Because the automated channel which was there was not able to understand my query and also was not able to provide the resolution around it. The reason why it might have happened is, one is the unavailability of the data sets, which means the organization might be having the right consumer data platform available, or not integrated system or legacy systems might be available. And also, just for the sake of it that there should be some kind of a self-service options available, they might have launched it. So while designing the entire customer journey for your organization, it is very important to understand first the data sets, those are available, and then they drive the entire insights out of it, that how and why a customer is calling you or reaching out to you. It could be in a form of an email or some kind of mobile application or website tickets, and then basis that design the entire journey around it. That will really help to get this self-service done. And also there should be some very set KPIs around it, that if I'm designing this particular workflow, what is the expectation out of it? And what all internal KPI it's going to impact. Until unless we have these KPIs in place, whatever we design, it's not going to help the consumer. So for my side, in terms of the automation, please keep the data in mind, that whatever the data is available, basis that the automation should be there. And self-service should be based on the queries raised by a consumer.
Awesome, awesome. Just to add, right, the current GenAI platforms that we have available, I've been taking quite a few demos in past 6-7 months, and I think most of these problems, because the flows do not understand our problem because they are human designed and are flow based. But yeah, GenAI can help us solve that problem because it picks the FAQs, database, customer calls, customer transactions. It picks up those words basis your input and gives you a solution basis that. But end of the day, after that, if you still are unhappy and want to speak to an agent, it should always allow you to speak to an agent and not say ki, I have done a reflection and I'm done.
True, true.
Yeah. Moving to our next question. The question is for Monish ji. Can you share example of successful implementations of digital CX framework that have led to tangible improvements in customer satisfaction and loyalty?
Okay, thanks, Rajesh. I think let me first put in context what customer experience is. I think most of us sitting here understand customer experience is when, how do we actually react to when a customer comes to us. Our philosophy, my philosophy is slightly different. Any call, any contact that the customer initiates is actually a reflection of a defect. So it's an ab initio, it is a defect in what you're doing. Why would a customer want to waste his or her time calling you up or even chatting with a chatbot? So our entire journey of customer experience starts with what I call E3. The first part is eliminate. Why are you doing something? You cannot digitize a broken process. It will only make a broken digital process end of the day. So the first thing that you need to do is, why are you actually doing a certain step? Why are you actually doing a certain activity? Why are you sending a physical statement in the first place? Let me put it in context of what our environment is. People, I think anybody and everybody today who has a credit card probably has an email, right? The entire act of me printing, dispatching, getting the statement received, is something which is now down to less than 1%. That's simply because people have, yeah, there is one adoption there, but the second part is you will always have logistical issues. Wherever there is a human interface, wherever you have a logistical interface, you will have, despite Six Sigma, you will have failures. And whenever you have failures in that process, you will have a customer angst, and the customer will willy-nilly come back to you. So first of all, let's try and find out what is it that we can eliminate. And those journeys, the mapping of the journey is extremely efficient and important for you to look at the fact that how do you take something out completely? Is it really required in your journey? I think a lot of us who actually applied for any kind of a financial product online, from last 3 years, you would have seen that the entire KYC, which is a big bugbear, right? How simplified it has become today. You do not need a physical KYC to be done anymore. The DigiLocker has made everything so simple. Forget about that. You go to the airport today and you have DigiYatra. Why do you need to stand in front of a human to look at your face, right? You've already identified yourself. Now, it's another problem that given our population, the DigiYatra line is even longer than the normal line. But then the fact is that you've eliminated an entire channel altogether because that is not something that is a value add in the entire process. So first, take that away. The second is, whatever it is that you can now digitize, give empowerment to the customer. Let the customer do that thing themselves. And that is where mobile apps really play a big role. And I think, I don't know, my phone and even my son's phone today is cluttered with apps. And we've been trying to figure out what you want, what you don't want. But the fact is, the simple fact is that for every activity that you do today, you have an app. Right? So, and the other thing is in the last 4 years post-pandemic, people have adopted that. So the customers today have adopted that. So the adoption rate that went up in 2020, today it is still sticky. That means that the customers want it. So I think to the question that you made earlier and to what the gentleman answered, yes, we should know what the customer wants, but fortunately, unfortunately, there are times when the customer doesn't even know what the options are. So the first thing is for you to expose the customer to all the options. Not maybe force him, but that's what I said, not force, but at least expose the customer to these options so that let the customer choose themselves what is most convenient for them. Calling up a 9 to 9 contact center at 12 o'clock at night is not possible, but opening a mobile app at 3 a.m. in the morning is possible. So you should be able to do that. And then comes the third most critical part, and I think that resonates with actually the title of this panel, which is the hybrid work environment. I think where we're missing out is the customer experience does not start with the customer. If we are talking about a reactive experience, that is the third part of my chain. We are talking about a person, a human being who is an employee of the organization that is giving the service. So you're talking about an employee experience. How do you empower this employee? How do you enable this employee to be able to solve the customer's problem after you've done the first 2 E's? Because you will still have that residual. You'll still have this residual that, to the point that you made, that you've not been able to either eliminate or digitize. You will still have those emotional times. A customer has lost his or her card. Now you can always go and block your card online. But the fact is that at that point of time, you are in splits because you've just lost your card and you are fearful that a transaction might happen. So you need a warm body. You still need a warm body to probably be able to figure out and just console you. Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. We're going to take care of it. So it could either be an empathy, or it could be an information that he is not able to get, or he just does not want, he is or she is at that point of time so enamored that he wants that kind of a comfort. But how do you then empower the front line to give you consistent experience every time? So whether it's me or whether it's you or whether it's Rajesh talking to that customer, we should be able to give the same solution in the fastest possible time. We run an organization, we run businesses. Ultimately, every call is a cost to us, right? So we don't really want to stretch a call as well. So that is where we really talk about the third E, and that comes about with getting into the soft trainings at one end, but more importantly, how do you make things easier for that agent on the call? Now, one thing you can do is we got, when we started off, we had a 28. So I heard It said earlier that you have a 20-hour training, mandatory training, refresher training. In the bank, before an agent can take a customer call, there is a 28-day training. Because you have to know the products, you have to know the process, you have to know everything. Now just think about it, why does an agent need to know all of my 39 products? When a customer can actually Google it and find out what the features are. So today the agent, what we've given the agent is a knowledge bot, which is a Google bot, right? Ultimately, what do you need to do? You need to be able to you ask what is the best product that you want. I should be able to give you what is it that is best for you, the next best action for you. How can I actually make it easier for the agent to not only give you information, but to execute it also? So we went back and we said that we don't want a knowledge bot that will just throw up answers. We want a knowledge bot that will be able to actually execute. So our knowledge bot actually does on behalf execution as well. So if you want me to book a loan for you, and typical question that the customer will ask, what is the tenure, what is the EMI, what will be the foreclosure charges? I'll give you all those answers, and the moment you pick on one of those choices, all I need to do is click a button and it takes away 7 of the steps that I will have to do in any case, put in the amount and 10 different things. So I think the entire experience journey rests for us on these 3 pillars, and that's what we try to actually work on. And these 3 pillars do not stay stable. It's a shifting stand, because the environment is dynamic, the competition is dynamic, and more than that, the customer is himself self-dynamic. So you need to constantly re-engineer the processes to figure out what is it that you're doing right, what is it that you're not doing right, and how do you want to change the way that you interact with the customer, or not interact with the customer at all.
Excellent. I think brilliant insights. Parag, do you want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I'll talk about my own industry in which I am working right now, which is broadband as a space, and internet service provider is what essentially we are at the end of the day. So of late, we have come across 3 different kind of user behavioral changes that are very, very predominant. And the first one is, as Mr. Monish also mentioned rightly, that users these days, they don't actually want to take out time out of their busy schedule and reach out to call center and talk to a random guy at the call center, right? And make him explain what the user is going through, and have a human interaction, human conversation with that guy. The second one that we have noted is that even if there is an interaction that is needed in the worst possible scenario, they don't want to talk to a human on the call. Instead, they generally are more reluctant. They're generally more interested in raising a ticket over the app, or then getting the bot getting the bot help them in resolving the problem and so on. So, in my opinion, some of the key organizations which have done this brilliantly is, for example, Airtel in that matter. Airtel, whenever there is a broadband problem that surfaces, Airtel is proactive enough to give proactive updates to the user, proactively create an escalation ticket on the behalf of user, right? So that the user doesn't have to bother creating the ticket. The user doesn't have to bother and see that my internet connection is not working right now, and let me call up the call center and talk to somebody and explain my problem, or open the app and do all this stuff. Instead, Airtel is proactively creating the tickets on behalf of the user. User need not be bothered, right? So that's an amazing thing that they have started doing, that is building amazing loyalty and customer satisfaction. And these days, if you look at all the fast-paced startups, or well-established startups, so as to say, whether it is Uber or Zomato or Swiggy or Ola or Flipkart or Amazon, whether it is Excitel Broadband also, in our case also, we are looking at the user behavior. We are initially offering all channels to the user. The user is free to give us a call. The user is free to go on the app and create a ticket. The user is free to go on the social media and tag us and talk about the complaints that he has. But at the end of the day, we find that 80% of the users are still reaching us out through the app, even at the midnight, right? So all these companies, if you look, they have followed a common pattern, which is first offering the users an app option with a chatbot option, whether it could be a AI empowered chatbot, or it could be simply a navigational chatbot. followed by giving them the option to chat with an agent if at all they're not satisfied with the bot, right? And ultimately, the last option that is given is, okay, now you can request a callback or you can directly dial this number, even if you are not satisfied with the first two options that were provided. So I think all these changes, this digital strategy, this digital framework has helped them in building amazing customer loyalty and satisfaction. For that matter, Amazon, after implementing these strategies, a worldwide average NPS for Amazon is 73. Right? Netflix has an NPS average worldwide NPS of 67. It's incredible.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I have to sum up the entire conversation that we had, right? Before that, anyone, any thoughts that you want to put across? No? Okay, cool. So if I have to sum up, while wherever we work from, doesn't matter, in hybrid, home, office, we have a lot of trainings that everyone goes through. We have coachings that happen that helps our agent, empower our agent to go ahead and, resolve our customer's query. But yeah, a digital experience definitely is the key factor, which includes of giving customer omni-channel. And one clear point that came across through our discussion is options have to be given to the customer. Let him make the decision and let's not force it on him. And we have a lot of technology available at our hand currently to ensure this is taken care. I think we are done from the panel. Any questions that audience has for us? I think we still have 5 minutes.
There's a question in the corner.
Yes, sir. He's getting the mic.
Thanks. I think it's again me asking the question, but I am very curious to
Last
ask
time
this
you were
question.
answering it. This time you're asking.
Yeah, thanks. So my question is that we all are very ably talking about the data that we have under our, custody, right? And data has always been there with us. It's AI which has picked up the buzz, and all of us are trying to unbuzz it these days, right? Now, having said that, what I want to ask is that we are talking about enhancing customer experience, right? But all I've heard is that at the entry point, how do we enhance the customer experience? Is that the only area through all the omni channels that we have spoken about, through which we want to enhance the customer experience, or the ultimate objective of the business is customer retention?
So I'd like to take that up. That's a brilliant question, and I couldn't agree with Mr. Vora. The line of the evening is the customer experience does not start with the customer. It actually starts with us. And I'm really impressed with that line, and probably I'll use it with my team when I go back. AI is important. AI is replacing a lot of, it's coming into a lot of industries and segments. But AI, artificial intelligence, cannot replace emotional intelligence in India. It's a very important aspect. You can have the best of the best systems in the country, but at the end of the day, you need your well-trained people who can speak well, who can put themselves in the shoes of the customer and try and calm them down and retain them eventually. It's a very important phase. We in India, it's a country where starting from businesses to politics, everybody runs on relationships, and the kind of connect we have, the human connect. AI cannot replace that. AI can get you pop-ups on your screens, black coffee. The customer's buying a denim, suggest him a shirt, maybe, for example. It's a very vague example, but while you're interacting with your customers, emotional intelligence is the way forward. And AI can give you pop-ups, but retention is very important. And retention is the most important part, where everybody's running after businesses, customers, clientele. We want business of Taj, SBI wants business of HDFC, and so does Tata of some other company of the competitors. Everybody wants to strive the market share, get the numbers up, do top line numbers, good GOPs, NOPs. But retention, if it's not there, and you know, your competitors would always get the market share.
True. Just to add, right?
Let me just add, sorry, please.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So let me just add to, because the point that you made in terms of data is, there are two aspects to data. One is obviously the analytics behind the data. And you're absolutely right, it is not, it is across the life cycle. And that is exactly what the power of data is. The power of data is not looking at data in, at a point in time. Looking at data in a point in time is fallacious, because the context of the data is very different. You will have to look, you look at data over a period of time. You look at not the purchasing patterns, but if you're talking about experience, you're talking about calling patterns. You're talking about action patterns. You're talking about not just buying behavior, but you're talking about a predictive churn. You know, a customer who has called you 3 times in the last 1 month from the contact center is more likely to churn than anybody else. Now, this is basic maths. You don't even need a Gen AI to tell you that, right? But the chances are that the more that contract that you have, the more it means that he's not calling you up to ask you the time for the day, right? So obviously there is something wrong with him. So it's just that, again, it's what you do with the data that is important. So get your data set right in terms of what do you want to do with the data. And I think something else that, I don't know whether we discussed that earlier or not, but what is extremely important, going to be extremely important today is with the DPDP. How are you able to actually going to use the data? It's not going to be as simple in the future, probably September onwards, once the rules come into play. It's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for you to be able to manipulate maybe the wrong word or not the right word, but the fact is, how do you actually augment the data? How do you curate the data? And how do you use it to the benefit of the customer end of the day? Because today, most of the data is being used not for the benefit of the customer. We are using the data for our benefit in terms of what do we want to pitch to the customer, how do you want to move the customer from one channel to the other, how do you want to make servicing less costly for us. But the way it's going to move is not in that life cycle. It's going to change post-September, hopefully, where the data will be, it is your data, so I'll have to use the data to service you the way you want it, not the way that I want it. And I think that's a change that a lot of organizations who've not started thinking about it will have to make. Because the way you are using data today is widely different from what the government has in mind.
I think, just to add, right, data is your input. Basis that input, the AI would tell you what or recommend you what can be done. Final execution तो हमने ही करना है.
Can you all switch on the mic?
No strategy without execution.
Yeah, so absolutely, thank you very much for your answers. I think I've got the point. I myself come from a learning technology company, and I keep playing with data and personalization and storing it and using it for various purposes under various sectors. So what I was more, keen to look forward was that AI doesn't only help us increase the business by using the data just only for one aspect or perspective. I think AI should also, or should only enable us, give us insights and inferences, like Sir said. Anyone calling a contact center 3 times is a potential threat. Why would someone will call you? Similar is with a help desk. If any customer is, filing you a lot of tickets, it's a defect. So I think I've got my answers. Thank you very much for answering them. And,
thank you so much. You should be on this side the next time we come in.
Last time I was there, but this time I'm here, so thank you very much.
I think it's an input for Naveen. I think Naveen, we're done. We can wrap up.
Okay, is there any Q&A? We can take one Q&A. Okay, thanks a lot to all the panelists and moderator for sharing their thoughts. Oh,
Hi.
sorry.
No issues. So I'm Gaurang. So India is a nation of 150 crore people right now, right? The difference between the education varies from town to town, Zilla to Zilla, district to district. Also, it is said that repeating tasks should be automated. But for a larger segment of India, while you're designing a product, you also have to keep in mind the customer experience for that product. And where do I draw the line on what are the processes that can be automated for a majority of the audience, and where do I need to keep a human intervention For example, at JW Marriott itself, uh, the check-in does require people because that's a personalized experience. That is from where you get the best of your feedback. The life cycle of the product also depends upon the feedback, and the feedback depends upon the customer experience. And then, as I said, majority of India still lacks that technical skills, which we are talking about today right now. Possibly 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, when the younger people of today's generation are grown adults, this digitization would make a larger sense as compared to what it is today. So if we have to decide on today's terms, what, on your opinions, would be the parameters or the judgment factors where we draw a line today? कि हाँ ठीक है, इसके बाद अब automate नहीं करना चाहिए. This is where human intervention should be there.
I'll start with.
Sorry, I think I couldn't resist myself on that because I think coming from the background of the banker to every nation, I think there is a fallacy that we think that India is not adopting digital, I think. And that's not just to do with the bank. We know e-commerce today and quick commerce today, the preponderance of that is in tier 3 and tier 4. You look at FMCG growth, and that too not only in terms of normal mass brands, premium brands is more in tier 3 and tier 4. So India is becoming digital, and while it may not be the entire 150 million population, but let's understand a large part of the addressable population that you have is today digital. You know, broadband is virtually everywhere, and everybody who's using broadband is digitally savvy. So I don't think Parag needs to worry too much about the fact that somebody who's using his product is not going to be digitally savvy. So I think it's quite product dependent as well. We need to figure out that once we have the product in place, is that product amenable to being digitized? As long as the product and service is amenable to be digitized, you can digitize everything except for human intervention and the emotion part of it. So you have to decide not where in the value chain do you want to break it is dependent upon where do you want a human touch to come in. And that is where only the emotion is required. Ultimately, I think 99% of any interaction can be digitized. And people are more than willing to go the digital route rather than waiting in a queue. Except if you have the time of the day and you want to go to the bank and you want to stand in a queue to do the activity, you would want to do that. But 90% of what you want to do in a bank, you can do it on an app today. So why would you want to spend your time going all the way to the bank to do this activity when you have the same time to do something else? So it's, again, give the customer at least the option, let them know. And ultimately, it's the customer who's going to decide whether he wants to go digital or whether he wants to still go physical or maybe even go phygital. The customer may still walk in, and we have a lot of walk-in desks where a customer walks in, but the customer is serviced digitally. So I think, I'm sorry to barge in again, but...
That's fine. So simple to answer, right? Can I divide my work into simple and complex? Wherever it is simple, I use automation. However, at the end, I still give customer an option. Does he still want to speak to an agent? Does he want a warm body? He says he still wants, let him speak, that's okay. And complex definitely has to go to an agent who can understand the emotions and take a decision there.
Thank you.
And I think, digitalization would not only mean using fancy platforms to serve the users. Platforms as simple as WhatsApps are getting used to serve the users, right? And anybody in India who is having a smartphone is having WhatsApp, right? It could be a villager as well. I have known NBFCs which are serving, village and remote, interior parts of India. Users, their users are typically users with the lower income group and whose average income is less than 20,000 a month. And they have been onboarding users and serving users, retaining users on WhatsApp completely, using Hindi as their language, regional languages. So, in my opinion, it's a fallacy to think that digitalization would only mean using fancy channels like different social media and other places to serve the users. Channels could be as simple as WhatsApp.
You've got beggars on UPI today.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, everyone, our panelists and moderator, for sharing your thoughts and insights on building the digital framework to drive valuable experiences in the hybrid world of work for amplifying CX. To do the honors, I request Mr. Hussain, Regional Sales Head of North from Unifor, to please join us on the dais.